Carnivore for the month of January. I am carnivore for the month of January because I've done this diet in the past and I tend to recover well. I tend to have good mental energy, and those are things that I really value. Now, I don't necessarily notice a massive difference if I start to add a few veggies, if I start to add a little bit of fruit, but I've set the challenge for the month of January and I am following through with that challenge. It can be a great way to build momentum in your life, to stick to something and to be really strict with it. Now, I also have that same strictness going on with my training at the moment, and yeah, it feels good. I have getting back to doing more calls with coaches, interviews, podcasts, those sorts of things over the next few days. It's going to be more challenging to continue to train as I have been, and also my in-laws won't be looking after children quite as much, but that's the challenge of life. Like, we all have little challenges and other things, commitments that we have to balance. They're not barriers, but they all have their place in our lives. So that is the current scenario. Carnivore diet. I'm getting 2 sessions in most days. Now, if the session goes for a bit longer, training with Anthony tends to take a little bit longer, tend to do a little bit more if I'm training with someone else. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not committed to training twice a day all year, but I'm going to train every day is the plan. And it was good to see Anthony getting up 70, 80 kilos. He's really feeling some more confidence with his lifting. He did a bunch of reps at 60 kilos today. So I was working up. We were working with pauses. That was 90 kilos, 100. So we did that slow build up again, working with a nice pause. That was 90 actually, I think. So sometimes, with those once I get in close to the top weight, I will repeat it a couple of times if I feel like I need to repeat it. I want to be really, really confident going up to the next weight. There's no point hurrying, pushing things beyond what I think I'm capable of doing or what I think I'm ready for. So maybe this one's 110, maybe 100 there. Slow on the way down, working for speed on the way up. I'm pretty happy with controlling the weight to that extent, but I wish, it's going to go up. So I'm actually pretty surprised that these sort of weights are feeling okay again. So I did this 110 a bunch of times with a pause, holding the posture. That is really what I need to be doing. That's what I am kind of focused on for now. The key is to stay consistent and to be healthy. So I think I've got a 120 coming up later on. Spoiler alert. But really, it is what it is. You can't know how the body's going to react, how quickly the nerves will wire into each other. The muscles need to grow, the whole biological process. You can meddle with it, but for the most part, it's going to do what it's going to do. You can listen to the stories and look at what other people's bodies have done. Our bodies have a lot in common, but they're not the same. And so it's an individual journey for each of us. I was chatting this morning with a powerlifter, Dawson, who's 24 and shooting for a world record in powerlifting this year to equal the world record, I believe, is his plan. And it was great to hear where his plans are going and who he's learning from, and he's been challenging some of my ideas, and that's really the fun of this thing, is to learn from each other and to see what's working for other people, and the accumulation of knowledge, the accumulation of wisdom. Like, what else do we have beyond that? That is the richness of being a human, is making a contribution, doing something unique, and building on, experimenting with, and seeing what we can come up with, being creative. So Anthony's working hard. He's working harder than me. I thought I would do some as well as a back off with a nice little pause. So I do think at this stage it's very valuable to continue to get reps that are really comfortable, that are really smooth, that feel nice and strong and fast. People have had really good gains in squats with 20 rep method. Now, this is a little bit too light, but wiring into the body that this pattern is happy, that this pattern is healthy, that my body likes this is quite important. So that's what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter too much exactly where my hands are and things like that. I'm not thinking so much about that. I'm thinking about lower abs, and I'm thinking about quads. That's what I've been thinking about with technique. Keeping the knees pushed forwards and keeping the abs on, creating tension in the lower abs, supporting the back. The lower abs are fighting not to let me overly arch. So that was a nice way to finish off this morning's squat session. Not much of an angle here, but yeah, we did work on the Nordic, the bottom position. That's the key part, to build strength and power to get out of the bottom. It looks like I'm doing nothing because it looks like I'm pushing up with my hands, but I'm actually using the legs. It's not the ideal setup, but I could feel a significant difference already. I think this definitely was my third Nordic session. We're up to day 9. But the thing is, I'm not able to really go super hard. I'm not trying to go super hard. I'm not able to put everything into it. My tendons aren't ready for it yet. But today, I could feel less strain in the tendons despite having trained them a couple of times, as well as doing RDLs and good mornings. Everything's getting happier with the frequency. Anthony's getting some nice touch reps, getting his chest down. So I had to play with the same ones we were playing with, where you could touch on the bench. And I was significantly better today than I was last time. So it's fun to see that already. So this is working on the kind of the top half of the Nordic, and then these ones are working on the bottom half of the Nordic. So the bottom half is the heavy half. It's where it gets harder, the lever's longer. And yeah, after all that, there's no chance I'm going to pop out of the bottom with those reps because I've just done, 10 reps. I think I could probably get 1 or 2 kind of momentum Nordics out of the bottom, but I'm building the pieces, I'm building the foundations. It doesn't matter what I can do now. It's not performance, it's about development. So yeah, that's a key concept in training is, an exercise like a trap bar deadlift. It's not a development exercise, and it's an expression exercise. So if you take someone who's really, really fast, to be really fast, you have to have a really strong stance leg. So someone who's really fast will have a strong trap bar deadlift, but that doesn't mean trap bar deadlifts are the best way for sprinters to prepare, because if you do a lot of trap bar deadlifts and you don't do long range work, then you have a very fragile, tight sprinter. So there are development exercises and then there are expression exercises. So the Nordic is a really good development exercise, and I'm treating it as such. I'm looking to develop this movement I'm not looking to express. It's not about my performance of the Nordic. It's using it to develop me. So with a few months of this, I should have a really good foundation for running fast, and we'll see. You see a bit of foot shake there. Definitely working hard, and after all those squats, there's decent build up of lactic in the system, and we're getting some work done. So that is the key. That is the main thing. Anthony was working a lot on the Nordics with his car back in Brazil, and that really biases the short range. So he's much stronger in this part of the movement than once the hips are down closer to the bench, because he hasn't really been able to work on that longer part of the movement, because with the car, you're starting the movement with a fair bit of bend, because you've got your feet up higher and the car's up higher. So the feet are below the bench. See how low the toes are? You can't do it like that when you're using the car. So all those subtle differences, it's like doing Nordics under the squat rack as well. You can't get the same straight body position. So now we're going extra straight body position. So recognizing that weakness, we put the bench so that like it was just to like a mid-thigh position. So all that pressure on the back of the knees and all that load on the hamstrings, some more load on the lower back, and that went well. I'm pleased with how we're progressing on the Nordic. So next, some RDLs, just going for range of motion to start with. I think for Anthony the challenge is getting some length into those hamstrings, but it's coming along. Just doing 80 kilos here for a few reps. Wasn't that many. Get some range. All right. And then, playing around. Good morning, powerlifting squats, those kind of movements. Stretching out lower back, open up the hips. Lots of reps. Turn on the glutes, getting the back used to bracing. I will add some weight to this movement, but not yet. So the afternoon session, I did some hill work first with the vest on, and then I went into skills and squats. So I've already done a bunch of warm-up sets by this stage. And I am a big fan and a big believer in maintaining some skills, some coordination. I had lost a lot of skill and coordination with my feet, and I realized that, and so started to add kicking into my training. It's really important to be able to balance. When you get older and you lose your balance, it's a big risk factor for death. So we want to stay strong, but we also want to maintain our balance. Not to be too morbid or anything, but balance is key, balance is king. So 100 kgs, we got to 110 this morning, and I kept thinking about, wonder if I'm ready for 120. So today's afternoon session was simply squats and skills. The plan is to be able to 5-ball juggle for 5 minutes. Now there's a lot of work between me and that feat, but I do enjoy a good juggle, so we'll see how that comes along in 2020. That may well have been the top set, 120, moved okay, bit of a stretch to finish off, and some split squats to open up the hips. Split squats have definitely lost some strength as well, so looking forward to those. Feeling strong again. I'm going to leave you with some pull session. got sick over Christmas, so I haven't been in here for about 3-4 weeks. It's probably about 10 degrees, I reckon. It was like 13 or 14 the other place that we're at. That pool's in the shade a bit more, so it might be similar. We're a couple of months later. It's getting down to 4 or 5 degrees overnight. But anyways, thinking about New Year's, as far as training goes, like I think it's a good plan to set yourself 3 main targets, 3 main things to work on. Now that doesn't mean you stop worrying about everything else. You need to keep things in balance, but having a few key things that you're really excited about can be the key to keeping training continuity. I guess I probably haven't had that the last couple of years where I've been really excited about a certain lift. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna get the scoop out of the pool and then probably gonna get out. It's a minute and a bit.